How often do you do this?
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah, make sure those cops don't come over here.
You're burning up fentanyl. How do you feel?
All the pain goes away.
America stands at a crossroads.
This is a tourist attraction. People travel here for the drugs.
Its solutions to the ongoing drug crisis aren't working.
The train's intentional. It's there to drown out our screams.
North America now has the highest rate of opioid use of any region in the world.
You go to a spot like this, they give you a shot of fentanyl in the morning, and you come in the night and they give you a shot of fentanyl at night. Fentanyl.
Fentanyl takes the life of an American every 5 minutes.
Immediately that she had been poisoned with fentanyl.
Fentanyl is now found in recreational drugs like cocaine and even weed. With hundreds of thousands of Americans dying every year, the question remains, how did we get here? And how do we get out? I'm Douglas Murray, and this is America's Drug Crisis.
Hey guys, can I show you a picture? This is my granddaughter's mom. Her name's Talitha. She's 6 foot tall.
Esther Ann is a 59-year-old middle school lunch lady from Monroeville, New Jersey. Today, she's searching the streets of one of America's largest open-air drug markets, hoping to find the mother of her granddaughter.
And that's what that guy just said.
Esther is a member in many of the Facebook groups where tens of thousands of friends and family search for their missing loved ones who are lost in Kensington. But that's just the beginning of the crisis. Across America, fentanyl has infiltrated every drug supply.
Concerning how much of a hold this drug has on New Mexico.
Fentanyl-laced heroin, cocaine, and marijuana on the south side of Chicago.
Fentanyl-laced pills that killed North Texas teenage girls.
In 2022, the number of drug overdose fatalities hit an all-time high, exceeding 100,000 lives lost in an ongoing epidemic largely driven by the powerful synthetic opioid, fentanyl.
What, in your view, is actually driving the epidemic of drugs in the US today?
The drug supply has become much more potent and as a result much deadlier.
Charles Fane Lehman is a fellow at the Manhattan Institute, a conservative think tank focused on domestic policy and urban affairs.
Give us an idea of what that potency change looks like.
Fentanyl can be many hundreds of times more potent than morphine. It's certainly an order of magnitude more potent than heroin. Drug traffickers have gotten much better at making much more potent, much purer substances. And so it is much easier for people to give themselves more than they are used to, particularly when they're dosing on the street. And as a result, it's much easier for them to overdose.
While fentanyl overdoses can be reversed, a new flesh-rotting tranquilizer with no reversal agent has begun to infiltrate drug supplies, including Kensington's.
Have you had lots of these wounds before, Paul?
Not until the last 2 years. I used to go without any sort of abscess or cyst or anything.
For 2 years?
Yeah, well, I've been shooting up since 21, I'm 29. So for 7 or 8 years, I never had health issues like this.
But it was when the trank came in that was when you got wounds for the first time?
You're right. It was a combination of the trank causing people to get more open wounds.
Psilocin, known as trank, is a large animal sedative. It depresses the human central nervous system, like opioids when misused, causing flesh-eating wounds, severe respiratory issues, and potentially death.
The supply is 90% trank at this point. The trank is what is doing this. I mean, fentanyl wasn't popping these wounds up.
In 2021, over a third of Philadelphia's 1,276 overdose deaths involved trank. Today, we're at Savage Sisters, a non-profit run by recovering addicts like Executive Director Sarah Laurel, who's been on the front lines of the war with trank and fentanyl.
We have 0 human studies on xylazine and the effect on the human body. So unfortunately, because the adulteration with xylazine began in Philadelphia, Philly has been dealing with this crisis firsthand on the ground with no scientific data, no medical backup, nothing.
What do you do here at Savage Sisters?
Savage Sisters offers housing, street-based outreach, and the drop-in center, as well as nationwide trainings and education. We have a shower and wound care for our friends who are experiencing homelessness, as well as substance use.
As much as Savage Sisters tries to help, many who use their services can't kick their addiction, like Paul, who we found using just hours after having his wounds cleaned.
What's her name?
Her name is Tal.
How long has she been out here?
She's been out here for, I believe, 3 to 4 years.
You think she's here now?
I want her to be here, so if I could see her out there. I was trying not to break my neck while I'm driving in these streets. I mean, I'm a grandmother. My son doesn't even know I'm here. That's your daughter? My granddaughter's mother. He recognized her on 2nd and 5th Street in Center City. She gets off here on Allegheny Avenue. She doesn't like to stay here because it's so dangerous. And she wears big earrings, puts her hair up in a bun, messy bun. Yeah, very tall.
I would check a prevention point at night.
With the sun soon setting, Esther's search yields to the dangers of Kensington after dark.
We didn't find Tal in Kensington today. How did you feel about that?
Part of me felt relieved, but I wanted to find her. I didn't know what kind of condition she would be in. I hope to see her again. And I hope my granddaughter gets to see her again.
As family members like Esther continue to search through Kensington for their loved ones, David O., the Republican mayoral candidate in Philadelphia's 2023 race, who wound up conceding to the city's current mayor, Cheryl Parker, is still searching for solutions. Walk me through what happened in this city in particular with drugs in recent years.
There's a group of well-minded people who have creative ideas about enabling drug-addicted people.
That these safe injection sites do not work.
So in their minds, because they have lost the war on drugs or because they have lost someone very dear to them, they believe that the best thing you can do is keep people alive by letting them do their drugs.
What would you do to change this?
We're going to enforce the law. So the number one person I'm concerned about is a resident. They live there.
When did it become legal to do drugs in the open air?
They have rights, and they've not had rights for many, many years. Their children don't have rights. They're in danger all the time. There's needles everywhere. They deserve to live in a country of laws, and they should not be singled out as a community where there's lawlessness.
So some people argue that there's a police answer to all of this. What would you say to those people?
I don't think that further criminalization of this community is what's needed. If you come in and you arrest them, how long is the American taxpayer going to pay for them to be incarcerated? Our jails are already overfilled as it is. They've done it and somebody pops up the next day. People are going to use drugs. People are going to sell drugs. You can try and shut it down as much as you want, but this market is never going to stop. Safe supply would help that. Investing wealth into the community would help that.
What is safe supply?
Have you ever been to a bar?
Oh yeah.
That's safe supply. A specific amount sold to you in a specific location. That would be a safe consumption site where you can drink legally and the alcohol isn't going to make you go blind or mad.
Right, not moonshine.
Correct.
Over the last 2 decades, there have been 4 key waves that have defined America's drug crisis. This first wave gained momentum after Purdue Pharma aggressively marketed Oxycontin, an opioid approved by the FDA, misleadingly downplaying its addictive potential and fueling a surge in prescription-related fatalities.
This cash-only operation allowed doctors to clear as much as $100,000 a week.
The second wave saw heroin rise sharply as a deadly contributor to the overdose epidemic peaking around 2015. The ongoing third wave is dominated by fentanyl, far more potent and deadly, dramatically escalating overdose deaths. Currently, in the fourth wave, the deadly combination of fentanyl with stimulants like cocaine and meth has significantly increased overdose fatalities.
When we talk about overdose, there's an implication that somebody knew what they were taking. When somebody takes cocaine laced with fentanyl, they don't know what's been put into their drugs. Is it apt to say that they were poisoned by the drug dealer? Quite possibly. The bigger point for me is that kind of poisoning risk exists for everybody now. There's no such thing as recreational drug use without risk. The risk is substantially higher than it used to be.
Every morning when I wake up, I come downstairs and I light a candle in honor of Julia. I take a picture of it and send it on a WhatsApp chat. When people look at their phones, they send their hearts.
This isn't a story about overdoses. It's a story about poisoning people with drugs laced with a hidden substance.
The conviction was you were selling cocaine that was laced with fentanyl.
In a story that captured national attention, 26-year-old Julia Gahramani was one of 3 New Yorkers who all ordered cocaine from the same delivery service and tragically lost their lives to fentanyl contamination.
Take us back to the moment you first heard the news.
We have a family chat, a WhatsApp chat, and we talk to each other all day long. And I noticed the day before that Julie kind of went silent. So that night, I kept calling her, and she didn't pick up.
We jumped in the car, and as we were driving, I don't remember if it was a detective or the EMS said, we're sorry for your loss. So we pulled over and hugged each other, went back down into New York. We had no idea what it could possibly have been.
Since 2010, overdoses involving stimulants like coke and fentanyl have increased, I think it's something like 50-fold. What does it make you feel hearing statistics like that?
We don't call this an overdose because she did not overdose. Somebody poisoned her. So that language, this is not accurate.
It's poisoning. I think this is an important point for us. And when you bring up those statistics, I brought, this is CDC numbers, right? This is what we usually tend to refer to as overdoses. And everybody still quotes the 2021 numbers because nobody wants to publicize that 107,521 deaths in 2021 made all the newspapers. November 17th, 2021, opioid epidemic, they call it, They talk about prevention and drug abuse, and not one of them mentioned murder, homicide, poisoning. It was all about, oh, look how much people are using more drugs, and so we need to look at health remediation.
Sasson believes Julia was poisoned and murdered by Billy Ortega, the dealer who sold to the batch he told her was cocaine.
On the night of March 17th, he called up, presumably another drug dealer, and said, hey man, I have a batch of stuff here that people say is too strong. Maybe you want it, but why don't you take it? Give it to some girls.
LOL. Give it to some girls, LOL.
Give it to some girls and see what happens.
Yeah.
LOL. LOL.
Earlier this week, he was sentenced to 30 years in prison. What do you make of that sentence?
We're stunned. This was a chance for the judge to deliver a strong message. He was remorseless afterwards. He never apologized. So you can't possibly find somebody more heinous and culpable than this man who himself cut up the drugs, put it in, and then what he did afterwards. She wrote that in her middle school yearbook. My goal is to make the world a better place. And so, in life, I'm in the financial community. We think of money all the time and, all of that. And it's just, you need to take a step back and think about, what the consequences of different things are. People come to their house and they're like, oh, this is a nice house and all this, and it means nothing. It means nothing for me. You'd give everything to have her back.
To better understand how fentanyl is reaching America and dealers like Billy Ortega, we went to the dark web.
I'm going to give you my name. It's Torin.
27-year-old Torin is a former drug dealer who used to sell fentanyl and other drugs on the streets of San Francisco. Torin showed us that with just a few clicks, you can find fentanyl as well as literally any other illicit drug for sale online.
How is it sent? Are the drugs hidden in any way?
Like those get well balloons, like the crinkly ones that are shiny. That's Mylar. Yeah, you can't smell through it. You would literally just pack it up. You would go into another room, wash it off so you make sure there's no particles on there for the dog to smell. And you pack it up in another, then you double wrap it in another room. I would generally just go get a normal card. I would open up the card and you put the thing in there and close it up and boom, like that.
Where's the fentanyl on the streets in San Francisco coming from? Do you know?
Oh, yes, I know. Coming from Mexico, Mexico. A lot of it was coming from China at first, but now they're getting a lot of it themselves.
Everything that we're getting is being smuggled across the southern border.
New images out of Mexico tonight of a massive drug bust. More than 530,000 fentanyl pills.
The problem has gotten so bad in the US that many American cities have employed innovative yet relatively unsuccessful strategies to fight the problem.
Overdose prevention sites are up and running in Manhattan today.
Oregon is now the first state to decriminalize small amounts of hard drugs.
Inside this harm reduction kit, there's no mention of getting people off drugs.
In your experience, what interventions in this area have actually worked?
None is the pessimistic answer. Many things work a little bit. Nothing works perfectly or is decisive.
Here in New York lies On Point, America's first officially authorized supervised consumption site.
So tell me exactly what happens when you go in there.
Either get coffee, breakfast, depending what time you get there, or you can get lunch or dinner. They got clothing for people that don't have clothing, and they help you out to get off of drugs too. They get you into a methadone program.
But if you want to take drugs there, what do? They give you your kit.
They give you a kit, but you have to buy the drugs in the street.
Right.
They don't sell drugs up there, they don't give you drugs up there.
People can go to this facility, they can take illegal drugs, they can't buy them there. And the idea is that they can use them safely. They can test their drugs, including fentanyl, use them in the facility, and there are volunteers who watch over them. If anyone overdoses, can step in and save their lives. The idea is safe supply and harm reduction. It actually has quite a lot of bipartisan support, but it's still very controversial. What are you doing now?
Fentanyl.
This is fentanyl. Why are you not going to On Point to use it now?
Because a whole bunch of people are there.
There are a whole bunch of people there. Done? How do you feel now?
I'll go rob a jewelry store and a bank right now. I'm just joking.
Supervised consumption sites don't work. We have evidence from New South Wales, we have evidence from cohorts of drug users, both in Spain and also Norway. We have evidence now from the staged rollout of supervised consumption sites across Canada. And what you see is that supervised consumption sites reduce use of emergency services. Certainly, if you reverse somebody's overdose, they're not going to die, but they are going to keep using. They are likely to keep using somewhere other than the supervised consumption site. And they will eventually overdose and die because the determining factor is not whether or not they have access to a supervised consumption site, it's that they're addicted to deadly poisonous substances.
While supervised consumption sites help a small percentage of drug users, they aren't solving the problem. which is why Governor Kathy Hochul announced a full court press pushing for widespread availability of overdose reversal medications.
The FDA approved the sale over the counter without prescription of the anti-overdose nasal spray Narcan, and it's now available to buy at pharmacies across New York. Thanks very much. So what does this actually do?
Opioid reversal. If you see somebody like overdosing or anything, you spray it in their nose and it blocks it. It'll bring them back to life if they're like dozing off or anything.
So we know that fentanyl can find its way into coke and even weed. So how important is it for New Yorkers to be carrying this around?
You'll take something accidentally. You don't know. You do it by accident, and they put fentanyl in everything these days. So it might be a good idea to have it.
Fentanyl test strips also offer a quick check for deadly fentanyl in drugs, a critical yet temporary shield in the ongoing battle against overdoses.
This week, Oregon declared a fentanyl state of emergency in Portland, just years after officials there decriminalized drug possession. Measure 110 passed in 2020 with 58% of the vote, decriminalizing the possession of small amounts of drugs, even methamphetamines and fentanyl.
Other places like the state of California and the city of Philadelphia also decriminalized drugs and are now seeing a spike in overdoses.
Oregon recently decriminalized use. What's your view on that, and how's it working out for them?
There is no evidence it's making anything better. The thesis of drug decriminalization in Oregon was that it would be part of a comprehensive reform to move away from the war on drugs and towards a public health focused approach. That's not happening. The best evidence we have is that Oregon's rates of OD death are continuing to rise either at the same rate as every other state or slightly faster, thanks to Measure 110.
As many strategies to combat the crisis fall short, psychiatrist and senior research fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, Dr. Sally Sattel, advocates for mandated treatment as a solution for both addicts and communities.
Mandated treatment is basically coerced treatment. I know that's a word that makes people nervous. I think about it in terms of benign paternalism, and I'm in no way in favor of criminalizing addiction per se, but I do think that we have to maintain a civil society, and when people commit crime, even if it's in the context of needing to maintain their habit, we have to keep folks accountable, and we can then use the criminal justice system and that leverage as a way to get them into treatment programs. One of the most developed systems for that is called drug courts.
Drug courts provide a rehab-focused option for drug offences, aiming to solve addiction problems. Missing drug court can lead to arrest, more oversight, or expulsion and criminal charges.
Just getting to graduation is no easy feat for any of these participants of the drug court. I mean, we are talking more than a year of counseling, tests, and oftentimes setbacks.
In order to get into a drug court, a person will have committed some kind of crime, a crime that theoretically they wouldn't have committed but for their addiction. They come before the judge, and he or she sentences them to drug court. So what does that mean? It means that they come, usually every day, to, at least at the beginning, to a treatment program. If they are addicted to an opioid, they're given the option of being on methadone or another medication called buprenorphine.
At the end of our journey, we met Alan Justice in the middle of his. Alan's a former actor who struggled with opioid addiction. Today, he's 7 months clean with the help of methadone and counseling.
But people, have that thing like, oh, methadone. No, they're new drugs now. Like methadone it has a stigma over it.
The best tool for managing recovery, for addressing people who are in active drug use and therefore at greatest risk of overdose that we have is what's talked about as medication-assisted treatment, the selection of FDA-approved medications which substitute for or can be used to step down from particularly opioid addiction. That means methadone, buprenorphine, naltrexone. If you're not on methadone, your chances can get as bad as 90% of relapsing.
After witnessing the drug crisis, I'm struck by the unprecedented potency of the Chinese and Mexican-made synthetic opioids flooding the US market. They're also exceptionally easy to acquire, so easy that it takes virtually no time to find on the streets of New York and Philadelphia, and the internet brings this crisis to small-town America as well. This crisis spares no social class. It's everyone's problem, as seen in the case of a young professional like Julia Gaharamani. The widespread fentanyl epidemic now sees New Yorkers carrying Narcan for emergency revivals. It seems to me that there are a couple of options to deal with this crisis. At one end is the zero-tolerance approach. This assumes strict drug laws, but also rigorous enforcement, which is something that is demonstrably not happening. The second way forward is a safe use approach. Some campaigners say that addicts need to have autonomy over their lives. But do any of them actually have any control over their own lives? I'd say not. They're slaves to ever harder drugs. Perhaps, as well as acceptance, some degree of stigma and accountability, like mandated treatment and drug courts, is also necessary to help them out of something that shouldn't be a lifestyle. The reality is that we've all known the drug crisis is happening. And yet, America has allowed it. The question now is whether it should.